Good evening and welcome to the News Hour. It's happened yet again. A burst of gun violence wiping out lives seemingly at random. Monday night's attack at Michigan State University left 3 students dead.
5 other students were critically wounded before the gunman fatally shot himself. That left investigators faced with finding a motive and a campus community in shock and grief.
Our Spartan community is reeling today.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, an MSU alum herself, mourned the loss of life.
Another place that is supposed to be about community and togetherness, shattered by bullets and bloodshed.
Today, as students coped with the aftermath of Monday night's mass shooting at Michigan State University, officials released new details on the gunman. Police say 43-year-old Anthony McRae was found with a note indicating threats to 2 schools in New Jersey where he had ties. Those schools were closed today. Officials say the shooter, seen on a surveillance recording holding what appeared to be a pistol, had no affiliation with MSU. He'd been charged with a weapons violation in 2019, but did not serve prison time. The gunman's father told the Washington Post he lied about having a firearm inside their house and firing the gun in his backyard. A neighbor reportedly describing the shooter as a real hellraiser. Run! The gunman opened fire last night, shortly before 8:30, inside an academic building and then later at a student union.
Oh my God.
Officers raced in as students poured out, leaving thousands of students in lockdown for hours.
My legs are still shaking.
Dominic Malotsky says he came dangerously close to the gunman.
The shooter came in our room and shot 3 to 4 times. Once he shot those rounds, we waited about 30 seconds to a minute, and it was silent. So we started breaking open one of the windows.
Officials today released the names of the 3 victims: junior Ariel Anderson, an aspiring doctor; Alexandria Verner, a junior known as a tremendous athlete; and sophomore Brian Frazier, whose family described him as a light in their lives. And this morning, Sparrow Hospital's chief medical officer reported 5 people still in critical condition.
We had general surgeons, cardiothoracic surgeons, neurosurgeons. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, sorry.
Our hearts are with the students and the families of Michigan State University.
President Biden today.
It's happening far too often in this country. Far too often. While we gather more information, there's one thing we do know to be true. We have to do something to stop gun violence ripping apart our communities.
The attack came on the eve of the 5th anniversary of the shooting at Parkland, Florida's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where a gunman murdered 14 students and 3 staff members. Since then, mass shootings have continued at a vicious frequency. The Gun Violence Archive reports more than 67 this year across the U.S. That's more than 2 every day. We're joined now by a student at Michigan State University, Eleanor Hoss, who had to shelter in place for hours when the gunman opened fire on campus. Eleanor, thank you for being with us. And you last night were at a rooftop bar. You were celebrating a friend's birthday, and this bar was across the street, as I understand it, from the student union. And you witnessed this entire thing transpire. What did you experience?
So I arrived like 10 minutes late. So I got there around 8:10. And I got there, I was saying happy birthday to my friend. We were celebrating. And then almost immediately we saw cop cars show up. So we could see the Capitol from the rooftop that we were at. And we saw like 1 cop car show up, and then we saw 3, and then it totaled up to like 9 cop cars. So we looked to see where they were going, and they were surrounding the Union. And then we saw cop cars coming from the other direction, so they were coming from the east side and from the west side. And then we just saw EMS showing up, fire trucks, everyone getting out of the vehicles and running towards the MSU Union. And then within a couple minutes, we saw students running out of every exit with their hands up above their head. And students were just like scrambling to figure out where to go. And it was just crazy.
How long were you in the bar?
We were there for about 4 hours, I believe. So the bar was also a hotel, and they offered us rooms to stay for the night. So they gave us a voucher around 11:30 midnight, But that was also around the same time that the stay-in-place order was lifted. But we were sitting in the bar for 4 hours, I think.
And you were hearing false reports, as I understand it, that there might have been multiple shooters.
Yeah, so I'm in a bunch of group chats because I'm an RA, and everyone was sharing that they saw multiple gunmen, and there were reports that there were shots fired in every building on campus, essentially. Like, there were some in East Campus, there were some in the Brody campus, and then people were spreading like pictures, false reports on everything, and so people thought there were like 2 or 3 gunmen throughout the campus.
How are you and your friends holding up? How are you processing all of this?
So I was definitely in a state of shock last night. I like couldn't cry, and then this morning I just woke up and cried for like 20 minutes. But my friends that did stay on campus, we've all been in touch with each other. Me and one of my good friends, who's also an RA, we met up and went on a walk through campus just a little bit ago. So we went to the Spartan statue and to the rock, and we saw all of the flowers that people had left. And it was really nice just to get out and walk around.
You mentioned you're a resident assistant to freshman residents. How are they doing?
So most of my residents have actually left. I have about 50 residents, and I think 80 to 90% of them have left the campus. My floor is usually very loud. I have a bunch of girls, they're all friends, and it's just dead silent here.
Do you feel safe at school, Eleanor?
I do not feel safe. I went home this weekend because I didn't feel safe on campus. There was a lot of other crimes happening near or on campus this weekend, and so I just felt like I needed to leave, and then this happened.
Eleanor Hoss, I appreciate your willingness to speak with us, and you and everybody at MSU are in our thoughts.